Welcome into the Field of 68 Network. This is 30 Minutes of Hell with return guest, Big Joe Kleine, the number 5 scorer in Arkansas Razorbacks history.
Just think if there would have been a 3-point line back there with me. I'd have been number 1. And I was known for my 3-point shooting. You didn't know that, did you?
Admit I probably wouldn't be like 20 points ahead of you if you were able to shoot 3, or if you played that extra year.
I only had 3 years, Pat.
Big Joe, welcome in.
Thank you.
Before we get started, I have to let you know, since you, as a member of the Boston Celtics, probably remember.
Yeah. Where'd you steal that from?
This is an actual brick from the old Boston Garden. My buddy and teammate Guy Whitney stayed with Boston one year. When they went and tore down the Garden, he snuck in and he got a brick. What's the mentality to come back from a coaching and a play mentality to be able to refocus, take what you did from last year, not dwell on the success? Obviously, everyone's patting you in the back. How do you have success again, coming back after winning? You know, unlike your Kansas City Chiefs, where see that right there? That's back to back. How do you bring the success? Similar to like the Patriots.
Well, I think it starts with leadership. I mean, you're coaching and then you're returning players. They have to have an edge to them. They have to have a grind, not complacent, want more, greedy. And so I think that's what sets the tone, is that you've got to have a head coach, which I think Arkansas does and must, which is not going to be satisfied or not going to be patting himself or players on the back about accomplishments last year. And I think they've got, Note, Devontae Davis, I think those are 2 guys that you know are going to be really good leaders for him and want some more. I think you'll see Jalen Williams I think he'll start blossoming a little bit more into a leader. But I think they've got a good foundation there from hey, we got to get to work. We got to get after it. We got to have good, nowadays you're bringing in all these new guys every year. I mean, chemistry and figuring it out and rotations. I mean, the first 2 months of the year are really, really important because you got to have everything figured out as to how you want to play, who you want to play, when you want to play them. You better have that figured out by Christmas.
Right. And probably one of the things that is an advantage if a coach is how to do it. And Coach Muss is good because of his NBA experience, getting guys, on 1-year deals, even 1-month deals. There's a sense of a good desperation, as we saw last year with Justin Smith, Jalen Tate. Those guys knew this is my last go around. So in a sense, having some new faces, understanding, that's one thing with college basketball that people, I think that the fans do not grasp enough. There is a time limit on your college basketball eligibility. So when they criticize a kid for transferring or criticize this, it's like, you don't have another shot, is it? So when you bring in some of these transfers, you got a balance between them getting theirs, right? Trying to get to the end, and then tapping in that hunger of this is our last team shot to go deep into the tournament.
Oh, no doubt. Well, and I think, a lot of the guys you're getting, like I think the guys they've got this year at Arkansas, the kid from Pittsburgh
Tony, yeah.
I don't know if he was their leading scorer, but he scored significantly. I can never say his name. Amude. Is it Amude?
Amude.
From South Dakota. He was a leading scorer from them.
Every part of your mouth.
Amude. And then, just you're bringing in all these guys that were very significant parts the likes from Miami, Florida. He had the ball in his hands all the time, and so now all of a sudden you got to say, look, we're not going to have 6 guys score 22 points a game and play 38 minutes. It can't happen. So you gotta mold that into a cohesive team. And the thing that's good about it is that, as you said, a lot of these guys have 1 year left. So you kind of have them a little bit from that area in that, my way or the highway kind of thing. I don't think it's put that way, but I think you got to buy into what the coach is selling. You got to find a way to get on the court. And so I tell kids all the time, if your coach is preaching defense and rebounding and you don't really like any of that, well, you better figure out how to do it so you'll have a chance to score points, because you ain't scoring points if you're sitting on the bench. So, you got to kind of find a way. And I think the other good thing I think you're seeing a little bit at Kentucky is that, I think Cal is going to, from this year on, is going to change. I think he's going to start trying to get some older guys in there because, he was bringing in these 5-6 freshmen every year, and, that's great and everything, but they don't get it. They don't get it right away, and they're very talented, and but they got to learn how to win, how to play as a team. They're coming from their high schools and prep schools where they're getting 30 a game, and they're going to roll into Kentucky and get 30, and then they're going to the NBA. Well, when you got 6 guys with that mentality, you're going to have an issue. And so I think the transfers he's brought in has brought a level of maturity, and I think coaches like that. They like coaching older players. So I think, as difficult as the portal is, I think for elite teams, I think coaches like it better because they're not constantly trying to make these freshmen into great players in 2 months. So, you got guys.
Our national championship game last year, Baylor.
Yep.
Yeah, he had transfers. The kid Davion Mitchell was at Auburn. Yeah. He was with Pearl. So You're right. It is so rare. The Fab Five at Michigan, Anthony Davis, John Wall at Kentucky. It is so rare. Were they together?
No, you're thinking Cousins.
Cousins, right? Anthony Davis's team, even John Wall and Cousins' teams as freshmen had great success. It's just so rare. To have freshmen do it is.
Well, and even with Anthony Davis, when they won it, you had a guy there in Anthony Davis that was once in a 20-year, 25-year guy. He's a guy that could take 6 shots in a game and dominate the game, and which he did in the national championship game. He didn't hardly score or do anything, but blocking shots, rebounding, and he controlled the game. So guys like that, you don't get guys like that very often.
I want to ask you about that. Devo Davis, Jalen Williams, brought him up earlier. Devo Davis hits the biggest shot in Razorback history in the last 20 years.
No doubt.
To take him from the Sweet 16 to probably in the last 25 years, whatever it is, since Scotty shot maybe.
Yeah.
And he comes out for opening game, doesn't score, doesn't complain, plays hard. Jalen Williams doesn't put up big offensive numbers. What does he do? Leads the team in rebounding, takes charges, gets 5-6 assists a game. On those two guys, what have you observed from them? And I almost feel like that they're a unique sort of basketball we got kind of lucky, and Coach Musk got lucky with those two guys.
Well, the first thing I would say is I know that the plus minus for Davis in that game where he didn't shoot was 19 plus.
Ooh, and he didn't even shoot.
He didn't shoot. So, he had the highest plus minus on the team. So that kind of tells you everything you need to know right there. He's doing what it takes to win. I think Jalen Williams is that type of player too. They're very, very unselfish. Jalen might be a little too unselfish. I think they're going to need his scoring a little bit more, but that is, just such a refreshing thing to coach. Right. Guys that are just, hey, this is what I need. And they're like, okay, they really try to give it to you every night. And so I think you're right. I think they're very unique in that they can have great impacts on games without scoring a lot
And
of
you,
points.
guy, did you say Alvin Robinson was similar to that?
Yeah, I mean he'd get 10 to 14 points a game, and but then he'd have 8 rebounds and 5 steals and 5 assists, and then just his presence defensively, hounding the other guy, the point guard, for the entire game. I mean, the effect he had defensively on whoever he was guarding was worth 5 to 10 points right there. So I mean, it was something that when you played with him, you were like, man, I'm glad that guy's on my team. But if you were a casual observer looking at a box score, you'd be like, what's so great about him? Why is he an All-American? He only had 14 points.
Right. So, and I know Coach Muss and his staff listen to the 30 Minutes of Hell podcast. So yes, Coach Muss, you got lucky getting them, but it's the development of the coaching staff, obviously helping those guys learn. So definitely growing Coach Muss's system and putting them in the right positions has helped bring out their strengths. I want to talk about another big man, Connor Vanover. We saw him last year, and you know what? He's 7'3", can shoot it. I love the fact he stays around the rim. Obviously, he's long,
Right.
gets the shot, protects the rim. Last year, you saw him come into games, play a couple minutes. If his shot wasn't falling, he sort of was. Coach Muss was like, "Okay, maybe not your day. We'll see what we got next time." Comes in this year, starts the game on fire. Just looks like a guy. He's getting it in the post. Great post moves, soft touch, blocking shots, running. What's the development of a big guy? You were a little bit probably developed earlier, right? You
Right.
came in sort of established already, but for a lot of other big men, how does that development process go?
Well, it's harder because normally in high school, if you're my size or his size, you're towering above people. You're not a little bit taller. You're it's goofy looking to see you out there playing with people. So, I mean, you're not really challenged. And then with strength or with size or with people that can athletically do things to you, you don't see it. I think nowadays kids get to see it a little more because they're AAU exposure. They get in the AAU circuit and they'll see and experience some guys that are on their level size wise. But in watching Connor, I mean, I just think he's developed. I mean, you hit it right on the head. You said he comes in and he doesn't make a couple shots, he comes out, and that's where he's got to take the next step. I mean, because they try to go at him defensively. They try to get him in a pick and roll. They try to get him on the perimeter, mismatches, and he's got to get to where, he doesn't have to lock people down, but he can't let people blow by him on the dribble. I mean, just straight line drives. And I think that's where Musselman, if he's not making shots, he's very worried at the other end because guys in the posts and guys on the perimeter, even as tall as he is, they get around him and get by him very easily. Right. And get to the rim or cause help for a pitch to where guys. And so that's where, everybody knows he's one of the best shooters on the team. I mean, that's without question. I mean, he can really shoot the ball, and he's gotten better being, like you said, around the rim. He can block shots. He can alter shots. But what teams do is, Pat, they're like, well, we're not going to let you stay down there. We're not going to let you park under the rim and block shots. We're going to bring you out here on this pick and roll. We're going to put a shooter in the pick and roll. And if he's going to get a wide open 3 or you're going to switch off onto a guard, that's where he's got to make the next step, is to where, again, he doesn't have to be able to lock a guy down off the dribble, but just can't give up those straight line drives to the rim that are just, there's no defense. If the guys go straight downhill to the rim, there's no zone, there's no man-to-man, there's no press, there's no defense for that. That's suicide.
That's what I think with all of the talk of the 3-point shot and how everybody wants to be able to shoot it, it still comes down to me. And you watch these teams who win championships. If they don't have a threat at the rim, they're not going to win, because you got to have it at the rim. The defense sucks in. You're always going to have the three.
Right.
So it's so crucial to your point about for Connor to be able to at least hold that dribble trader off the screen, hold him long enough, right, to get help. You don't ask him to lock down like Devo.
Or just get him offline a little bit and then see if he can shoot over you. See, the thing is they're not having to shoot over him because they've gone by him.
Right.
I mean, if he could just stay in front of him with that length, I mean, they're not going to score over him. I mean, and that's I think that's his next step to going from a spot player to a everyday, maybe a starter.
Before we move on, let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at BetRivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up for BetRivers yet, now is the time, because they are offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. But what sets them apart is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With their Rush Pay instant approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, it's more secure, and it's more reliable. Now that basketball season is tipping off, get in on the action at betrivers.com today, or by downloading the BetRivers iOS app. You must be 21 years or older. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And while I got you here, let's talk about the Field of 68 Media Network, where college basketball matters most all year round. This is a digital media and podcast network that we've been building over the course of the last year. We have shows hosted by some of your favorite players covering the program that they love the most. AJ Guyton hosts the House of Hoosier. Eric Devendorf covers Syracuse on the Scorer's Table. Dan Dickow hosts the Gonzaga Bulldog broadcast. We have Florida's Patrick Young and Duke's Andre Dawkins and North Carolina's Shammond Williams and Michigan's Stu Douglas and Illinois' Deion Thomas. The list goes on and on and on. We have more than 30 shows right now. So hit the links below and check them all out. And while you're at it, make sure that you go check out the Field of 12 Media Network, your home for college football.
So for you being, you're a college basketball coach, obviously played, NBA played. I'm just going to kind of give you a broad question on the NIL deal. And just
I could have made a fortune, Pat.
You would have.
Trying to get one right now. I'm trying to get an NIL right now.
Hey, I'm just kidding, NCAA, but I joke with some of these kids like, oh, man, you got to work for that money now? They used to just give it away back in the day. No, I'm kidding. And I'm kidding, NCAA. So there's obviously pros to it, right? There's great things to this. And I'm just kind of curious of what you feel the pros and cons are from all perspectives of every level of basketball you've been on.
I still think we're in the wild, wild west version of it. But I like it. I think.
By the way, did you see the kid from Kentucky?
Yeah, got a push.
Got a push.
Yeah. When I'm gonna see if I can rent that from him for a day when I go do their game. Don't think I could. I probably couldn't get in it, but yeah. I mean, I was like, man, that's a lot nicer than my beige four-door Impala that I had.
So sorry to interrupt, but you were saying
no, I mean, I think, and that's when I kind of say the wild, wild west. I mean, that's a lot to be giving a kid at 18. But again, the amount of money that's being made, the salaries that these coaches are getting, and I'm all for it. I mean, but again, you can't have, $5, $6 million, $7 million coaches, and then have these absurd rules that they had as little as 5 years ago, where you couldn't give your players snacks after the game, or it was absurd. And so I think them having ownership of their likeness, and having the ability to market themselves, that's the American way, man. I mean, that's I think at some point there's going to have to be some kind of commissioner, or there's going to have to be some kind of governing body that they put a committee together with a commissioner or something that's going to have say over things, because I mean, it could get really, really, some of these boosters and some of this stuff, it could get.
I'll say this, Joe. Like, now I've been thinking about it. So there were a lot of players that I played with. I'm sure you played with. I'll say one, Derek Hood. Derek was a workman's mentality. He wanted to go to class, go to practice, eat in his bed to get rest. He didn't want anybody bugging him about nothing but school and basketball. Yep. If you came to him and say, Derek, you could make a couple $100 doing this. He may do it, but if it's going to conflict with anything that he had already, I mean, he was
his routine. Yeah.
He's like, man, I got my stuff I got to do. So, and then I think there are kids who get the personality for it. So I guess what I'm saying is, when the impression people get is it's gonna wreak havoc and distract kids, I think there are a lot of players who are like, I get all the gear I want, I get all the food I want, I get stipends and monthly money that they give them now. I just want to relax on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
I got everything I need. So I think sometimes people may assume it's going to be like this big thing where
it's just like the pros in a way. I mean, you're higher profile guys, you're Brady's, Mahomes, and Bird and Magic, Jordan, those guys, those types of guys that are at the top of the food chain as far as their team or their sport, they're going to have to deal with some maybe other things that, the role players and things don't have to deal with. And so, I mean, I think when you first hear it, you go like, oh man, every kid's going to have endorsement deals and get paid. And it's right. Not that way at all. It's going to be a lot like it is. I think I heard Musselman talking about it. It's just like in the pros, this guy over here is making, $13 million a year. And I got a guy over here making 500, and he's got, endorsement deals, and he's the star. And he goes, there's a pecking order. There's going to be as there is in everything, there's going to be an order to who gets what because of what they do. And that's, like you and me. I mean, we can't make Jimmy Dykes money, and I can't make your kind of money. But
first of all, is Jimmy Dykes really sponsored by Lululemon? I mean, come on, Jimmy. Open that up for us, Jimmy.
He's big time, man. He's doing books. He ain't got time for you and me. He got books going on, Lululemon happening. I mean, he ain't got time for us.
When you were with the Celtics in '88, where was your pecking order?
Right above Wayne LeBeau, the equipment manager.
Ed. What about Ed? Were you a Ed Lacerte?
Ed took care of everybody, so I think I might have been below him. Because I couldn't tape. If I could tape ankles, I would have been above him. I couldn't tape any ankles, so we had to have Ed. We had to have Ed. We couldn't survive without Ed.
So looking forward to this season. You mentioned you're doing SEC Network games. You got at Kentucky, and I got actually a couple games at Kentucky early on. Just from what you've seen of the SEC overall, I think last I checked, Arkansas, Kentucky, Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, top 25. Yep. Florida, actually, I think just got in the recent top 25. Yeah. What's your overall impression? You've been following the league, obviously, for decades.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot like football, man. It's loaded. I mean, you're talking about a team. We didn't mention Mississippi. Well, they got a pretty good coach in Kermit Davis. Yeah.
Ole Miss going to be right there for
Ben Howland.
Right there in the term. Davis, some great transfer.
Ben Howland, the legacy, what he's done at UCLA and there. I mean, just Will Wade always seems to have talent, and I mean, Tom Crean's not a bad coach either, and Frank Martin's been to a Final Four. So I mean, and those are the guys we're not even talking about, And so I just think it's going to be a lot of tight games, a lot of great. I don't think there's a clear cut right now to where you can sit back and go, it's Alabama or it's Kentucky or it's this. You might have a inkling, I think it's going to go that way, or if this happens, that maybe this will work out. But I mean, it's going to be a grind. But it always is. Yeah,
it's going to be another competitive year. I mean, I could see 4 teams in contention to win the SEC.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, we had, like you said, that we're not even having in that top 4.
Yeah,
have a chance.
Yep.
I got to say, Big Joe, you look great. Dana definitely did your hair fantastic.
I got the high and tight yesterday. I got my lines, got it lined up.
Looking good, Slim. I like the goatee.
Yeah.
Everything good, man. I appreciate it. 30 minutes hell. Was it that bad? Second time around?
No, it was more like heck this time around. First time it was hell. But
before we go, I got to get your picks. The AFC Kansas City Chiefs. This is going to show this podcast this week, so I want you to tell me who's in the AFC Championship game and the NFC Championship game.
Well, I'm riding it with my Chiefs. I mean, I think they're going to figure it out. I think it's a lot more wide open than people think. Man, Tennessee lost Derrick Henry, so I think that's going to be a blow to them.
Say the Patriots, please. Just say it. I know you don't want to. Just
no, I'm not. I can't go. I tell you what, I like how they're going though. They're going in the right direction. I'm gonna stick with Kansas City and Buffalo in the SEC championship game, and then I think it'll be Dallas.
Woo!
Dallas and LA in the NFC. Rams.
You're 50% correct. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay gonna get done again.
I'm ready for them to go away.
Hey, he's 45. He'll get them 45. Okay, Joe. So
he'll get him close, but I think this year his luck will run out a little bit.
It's not luck. Your buddy Larry Bird, his great quote: "The harder he works, the luckier he gets."
That's great.
Never introduced me to Larry Bird. Can we go play round of golf?
You give up some of that money you sitting on, some of that studio cheddar. You got all that.
Tell him I got a break.
Studio.
Tell him I got a break. All right, Joe. I appreciate you, Big Joe. You're the man. Right. Great friend, and I appreciate everything you do. Tell Dana, tell the family that I said hello.
Good luck with everything, Pat. We're praying for you.
Thank you, brother. Love you.
See you, buddy.
All right.